second edition at the International Journalism Festival in Perugia. Just out of interest, can you put your hand up if you've been to every single workshop? We've had four. Wow. We should give you a special certificate for that one. Thank you very much for joining us. I realize lots of people are already heading home by this point, but you are true troopers. This is probably one of the most exciting ones, one of the things that journalists get most excited about, how to actually get hands-on and visualize your data. Gregor's been developing some excellent tools for doing this, and he's going to walk you through exactly how they work. So we're really excited about this. A couple of logistical things before we start, as always. I'm already getting mocked for having done the same introduction 8 times. Gregor, could we have the slide, possibly? Yes. The School of Data Journalism is organised by 2 organisations, the Open Knowledge Foundation, which is where I work, and the European Journalism Centre, which is where Liliana works. And together we basically collaborate on bringing data skills to audience such as journalists. There we go. We've got it. Audience such as journalists. My project, which is the School of Data, which you see up on the screen, also works closely with NGOs. A year ago, the Open Knowledge Foundation and the European Journalism Centre at this very event launched the Data Journalism Handbook. So it's its anniversary this year. It's available for free online if you desire it at ddjbook.org or datajournalismhandbook.org. You can find it at both. If anybody does desire a print copy of it, Liliana and I have some discount codes, so come and see us afterwards. I'm going to hand over to Liliana to do an introduction about the European Journalism Centre very quickly, and a couple of the logistical announcements. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy this final session. I know I will.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who've been to the other sessions, you've heard this introduction so many times. I'm sorry about that. I am Liliana Vounegru. I lead data journalism activities at the European Journalism Centre. We run a website on this topic that maps developments in the field called datadrivenjournalism.net. Last year, we published a manual, which Lucy already mentioned, together with the Open Knowledge Foundation. And we run a mailing list where people who attend events like this one stay in touch when we don't organize events. And you can find, this mailing list has around 1,000 members, and anyone is free to join. And you can find the URL for the mailing list on datadrivenjournalism.net. A few more logistical details before we start. This session will be recorded, and the video recording will be available on the Journalism Festival's YouTube channel. We also have an overview of all the slides, tutorials, recordings, and links to projects that have been shared throughout all 8 sessions of the School of Data Journalism. We posted this on schoolofdata.org and datadrivenjournalism.net, so you can also check that. 2 last things. Our Twitter hashtag is DDJSchool, where we're also posting tips and links. And for those of you who want certificates of attendance, come to Lucy or me at the end of this session, and we'll write down your name and email address and send you a certificate at the end of the event. I'll now hand over to Gregor, who is doing the second workshop in Perugia. Thank you, Gregor.
Okay, hi. Yes, I just put this. So today I want to show you 3 tools. Usually this must be something like a 2-day workshop, so it's really compressed. I will try to, so I'm showing you 3 tools. One is Data Wrapper, a tool that I was part of the team who built this, and then there's QGIS, which is a tool for creating maps, one of many tools, and the last thing is Tableau. So I will try to be kind of slow with the first tool, but maybe if you lose track, just there's the tutorials with the step-by-step introduction that I'm going through here. This is on, we published it, and yeah, you find the links there. And yeah, you can, I would suggest if you lose track just to look and follow and not try to, yeah. Because it's, I've done this with journalists, and it usually takes like 8 hours to get them through some of these. Like everyone has his own computer and there's some kind of old version of Excel running, and then something happens and it don't work. So if you get frustrated, just keep calm and listen. And yeah, you can watch the video, and there's the, yeah, I spent some time on the tutorials, and there's lots of screenshots in it, so I hope this will be easy to follow. Yes. So the first, I'm not sure if you all found this, opened this link, who wants to follow up. I just need to check on dataset. So what we're going to do, let me show you Data Wrapper. Data Wrapper is a, yeah, I was asked how to install it. You don't need to install it because it's a web-based tool, so it works in, not in any browser, but in Firefox and Chrome. The tool, it is a tool to create charts, like line charts, bar charts, stuff I showed yesterday. Very basic stuff, so no fancy network diagrams or anything, but it's just for the day-to-day work. The charts work in any browser, but just the tool is optimized for like, or not optimized for IE. So, yeah, you can just open the website Data Wrapper. And you don't need to create an account to use it. You can so you can try it without creating an account, but you cannot publish it at the end. But it's free to create an account. You just need an email address, and so there's no costs at any point. Yeah, the tool is open source, so yeah, if you like it, you can use it for your own in your own newsroom. And yeah, and we also are now starting to provide, because we get many requests from newsrooms who want to use this tool. So yeah, you can contact me if you like it and want to use it. So the way Data Wrapper works is we have a 4-step process. So you click on Create Chart. Let's see. There's one thing. If something is not working, then like this, there's one bug we experience in workshops when the Wi-Fi is really slow. Then some strange thing happens that never happens. So if anything goes wrong, just try it at home. So what do we need to do? We click Create Chart, and so this is a 4-step process. The first step is you put the data in. Usually, what you do is you. So I go to this. We download this. Yeah, you can download the Excel spreadsheet. I put it online on my my blog. So here we go. I hope this is working. Yeah. So this is an Excel spreadsheet of unemployment rates by sex and age groups in Europe. This is what you download from websites such as Eurostat. So I will show you how to transform the data so you can use it in Data Wrapper. So what the first thing you would do is to clean the data set. So to just extract the parts that you want to display. So usually there's some kind of header in it, and we don't need it. So what I'm going to do is I create a copy of the sheet. So it's the same in Excel and in every tool, a spreadsheet. I'm just creating a copy to keep the original spreadsheet as for reference for later. So now I can delete and I can get back and to see. So I just remove these lines. So now, yeah, this is kind of. Oh, there's also something in the bottom. We don't need this. I can remove it. Now, the idea of Data Wrapper is that you kind of limit the data set to some, you need to select some kind of rows that are interesting. It makes no sense to put like this huge table with thousands of rows into it. So you should, usually you're working on a story or something, and so you know what you're writing about. In this case, I'll assume that we are writing a story on unemployment in Europe, and so what's interesting now is just the top and the lowest. So what I'm going, I will freeze the view so I have the header. I will, for instance, use some kind of European Union. I will throw them out. I don't want the aggregated values. So this is now what I'm going to do is I will delete some rows. I will sort this by the most current value. For some reason, this is 2004. I don't know. I think I had a spreadsheet with more recent data. I just will check. But yeah, but maybe this is how workshops go. Anyway, what? Yeah, you can.
Gregor, the links to this are in the Etherpad in the Google Doc, right?
The links to the document?
Yes.
Yeah. There's one link to the Eurostat website. So wait, I can try to open it.
So it's bit.ly / big Z small r ij23.
So this is how it looks when you select a table in Eurostat, and there you can find a download link, and you can get an Excel sheet. It's the interface is a bit complicated, but so it needs a little time to figure out. So that's why I prepared this sheet. Okay. So it's a bit. I need to fix it with 2004 because the most interesting stuff that had happened after 2004. I will. I know what to do. Oh, I will switch the data set at some point. Sorry. So I will proceed as so. What I'm doing now is I sort the table by the last column. So this is not an Excel workshop. I'm sure that you had an Excel workshop, and so I can't go through everything. So I just sort it. So I have like the worst and the best, also the lowest and the highest rates, and so the idea is to remove some of them. So I just go through it. So in this case, I could focus on the top 5 and the lower 5, maybe including some countries that are of interest in the middle, like for instance, I'm interested in Germany and maybe Italy, and so I just keep that and remove the rest. So the idea is to somehow narrow this down to a couple of rows. So now to get this into data wrapper, as with you can do this with any spreadsheet. You just select all, and you copy, and you go to data wrapper, and you just paste it here. So I can right click and click on insert, paste here, whatever, einfügen. So now, So now the data is in here. It looks really crap because there's lots of missing values for Poland. So there's some data after some years. So after you paste it in here, you just click upload and continue, and you see kind of again a spreadsheet here. Yeah, I forgot one thing. It's a good idea to kind of shorten the labels. So here you have some kind of additional information that Germany was called FRG until 1990. I can remove this for now. Yeah. So again, I copy. You can go back to the first step at every point, paste it in. I just upload. So I see now I have nice short labels. In the second step, what you usually want to do is you want to include the source of the data set. So in this case, I got the data from Eurostat, so I just write in Eurostat, and yeah, you can if there's an URL for the data set, so the readers can check it back. So in this case, this is the URL. Here's a field where you can paste it in the URL, and this will be shown in the chart, so the user can go back to the original data. Yeah, you can change the way the numbers are formatted. So if you think one digit after the decimal point is the way to go, it depends on the selected language. So now you see there's the point used for the separator, but if I would switch to like French, it will use the comma. So it depends on the language. We are working on an Italian translation, but yeah. I think we already have one. It's not on the website, but there will be one soon. Yeah, and at this point I can just click on. I need to go back to English. Just click on visualize. So now we are in the heart of the tool. Here you have a couple of visualizations you can use. What I want to do, since this is a time series, I want to use a line chart. So, and this is what I end up with here. This is a line chart of the unemployment rates. So the first thing I can give this a title, like, yeah, we start with a simple title: unemployment rates in Europe. I think I had picked the age group under 25, so it's youth unemployment. So and DataWrapper has some tools to help you to focus the chart on a story. And one is we have the highlight feature, so you can click on highlight and then you select like a country you're of any interest. So I'm getting a bit lost now because this is not the data set I've prepared myself, so interesting. I think I will just a second. So this was, I would just get the data set. So this was the thing I had. You can follow the steps anyways. It's just the same data, but I have the rows from 2004 to 2012, so it's the same data, but more current data set. Sorry. I will update the link in the document. So what you can do with the highlight features, you can highlight what's most important to your story. So in this case, I can, for instance, pick Greece and Spain, since these are the countries where the unemployment is really the worst. I can configure every visualization. In this case, I activate direct labeling, so I have the labels direct at the lines. Yeah, I can also include like other countries, so I can, for instance, compare this with Germany, so I have some more lines. Yeah, and so in this way, using a highlight, you can just make it easier for your readers to read the chart. You can change the colors. So one word about the colors. DataWrapper is designed to support different layouts. This is kind of a service that we offer to newsrooms, or you can do it yourself too if you have like a developer in your newsroom. You can customize the layout of the charts. So this is the default layout, but I can switch to like different layouts. In this case, this is one that looks like a really old chart. This is just to demonstrate like you can customize colors, fonts, and everything. We have one. Well, for instance, we have one layout for the Guardian, which the Guardian is using. So. So they have like their logo, and some customization. They wanted to have a possibility to allow the readers to share the chart, so they can embed it in their own website. So the idea is that you can have different layouts, and in each layout you have a set of colors. So the original idea was to not allow the chart creators to use just like any color, because certain the newsrooms have every newspaper has some kind of corporate identity colors, and so we want to go with them. So you have a set of colors and you pick from them. In this case, I will pick an orange as a base color, because what I want to do is I want to kind of pick colors that support like what's good and bad in the data set. So orange is kind of the base in between, and then I can define custom colors. So I just clicked this button, define custom colors, and I pick a red for Greece and Spain, because they really have youth unemployment rates above 50%. So and I can go for a green for Germany, because it is like things. So this is what the chart looks like now. Yesterday I mentioned a tool called Color Oracle, which allows you to check the colors for colorblind. So the tool is just open here. In Mac you see it with this icon on the button. So now if I now press the F5 key, I see the screen as colorblind would see it, and now you see that there's no difference between the green and the red. So I maybe should pick a different color for Germany. So I can go for blue. And if I do the same key again, you see that now there's a difference. So I stick with blue. Yes, you can write some more information about this chart. For instance, we could make the title more speaking, so we can say like maybe unemployment rates. I'm not a journalist. You're better in writing titles, so but maybe unemployment rates dividing Europe or something, because it really seems like it's drifting into two directions. That's it basically. Now I'm at the last step, so I click publish. What it is doing now, it is uploading the chart to a content delivery network, so which is a website that is only there to serve HTML, to serve websites really fast. So this is now the new link of the chart. So this is not on our server, but on the server by Amazon, but you can use other content delivery. So it's basically to ensure that it's working on high load. So even if millions of users are watching it, clicking it, so you get this iframe code. Maybe you've seen this when embedding YouTube videos in articles or something. You just copy the iframe, and then you would go into your content management system and paste it, and that's it. So that's how you can use Data Wrapper. At any point you can throw in questions.
Does anybody have any questions? We've got 2 more tools to show you, so I suspect the next 2 are probably going to take a little bit longer as well, aren't they? So, but we can take a couple of minutes just for questions if people have. Zoom in. Is it possible to zoom in a bit particularly on the spreadsheets? Is that or on all of it?
We have a full screen mode, so maybe if your content column is too small, you can click on full screen, and the chart would show like here, so users can.
I think during the tutorial, just generally, if there's anything if it's possible to zoom in.
I think it is, because there is some. There's.
Are there any other questions just while we're waiting?
Anyone knows how this works in Mac? Zooming in.
Can you show the export tools? Let's say how you export it and embed it and.
So we also have an export feature. You can. What? Yeah, this is for websites. Yeah. So Okay. You can export the charts to a bitmap image or a vector image. So you would just I click. I think it's not working on my local version, but on the public one. So the way it works, you click on export chart, and then in about a minute you get an email with a chart attached to it, like a static version. We are also working on an export for where you get the chart as a zip file, so that it works as without internet. So you can use it for some kind of iPad application, so you just don't need to worry about anything else. So yeah. Yeah, you also have you've seen it, a collection of all your charts, which is a nice thing if you have created lots of charts, and you can go through your collection, and so you have kind of a place where all the charts are, and you can maybe reuse them. We have a feature to duplicate a chart, so it would make a copy of it, and so you could maybe insert the new data, and the rest would stay the same, so you don't have to create everything yourself, everything again. So yeah, we have like really the basic chart types as bar charts, line charts, and pie charts by now, and yeah. But this is it's an open system, so the general idea is to allow to create a kind of an ecosystem like it is around WordPress, so where every user is able to contribute plugins, and so you could create a different visualization if you have the developer in your team, and you could still use data wrapper. So yeah.
Just a clarification. So the graph is actually saved on the data wrappers server when you embed it, so that if you go back and modify it, I mean, if some sites have embedded it, they will always get the latest version. For example, for an investigation that grows over time, adds data. Is that the case?
So if you change, I can show you. If you change anything in the chart, like now I can fix the title as this copy. If I change anything and I go to the publish page as well, it shows me that I have changed the chart after the last publication. So I can just click on republish the chart, and then it would update it. So, but the idea was to we want to assure that once you publish the chart, you need the extra step to ensure that it's not breaking. So yeah, and even if the data wrapper server would somehow go down, maybe because there's too high load or anything, the chart is not on our server, so it is really guaranteed that it's there. So the Guardian uses this, that Le Monde uses a newspaper in Helsinki, and like it is really. We have seen like months with 2 million visits and something, so it's really scales. Yeah, so that is about the first tool. I just close it. So we have 2 more. The second one is about how you can create maps using a program called QGIS. One thing to mention, the selection of tools was mainly we wanted to use free tools, so that you don't have to pay like thousands of euros to use it. So QGIS is an open source tool, but yeah, as with other open source tools, sometimes the interface is a bit more complicated than if you would use like other tools. But what is happening over there? Ah, that's the user? Ah, okay, that's you. That's nice. Who's okay? Lovely. For this I will use a different data set. I've seen this. I've shown this map of France with all the stations of Tour de France. So I decided to just show you how to create this map. Maybe it's interesting because I think this year is the 100th anniversary of the Tour de France, so this maybe will be a story. Yeah, so I assume that you have installed QGIS and this plugins. This is something that might take a bit longer. As said, open source is sometimes a bit rough to start with, but it is if you've done this 1 or 2 times, then it gets easier. I can make this full screen. So the first thing is we want to create the base map layer. I will show you how QGIS looks like. So this is another thing. I just open a new one. So this is the interface of QGIS. Yeah, I warned you that this is really complicated. We have lots of icons over there. Yeah, but I've really written this up step by step so you can go through this yourself. So the first thing I do is I want to have a map of France. So I create a new vector layer, and what I'm loading now is a shapefile. So shapefile is like a data format that stores geographic data, and so I have a shapefile that I downloaded from Natural Earth. Natural Earth is a project that has just one. I think it's, I don't know. It's just a project that tries to collect as many free map data that is possible. So, and there you have a shapefile of all the countries in the world, and I'm just using this shapefile. So, just need to find it. The shapefile. Just a second. Where have I picked this? So, welcome to my computer. So, I just picked from one of my projects. The DPN. So, just a second. So here it is. This is shapefile that, or I can use this one as well. So you just select the file. So in the tutorial you see the link, and you can just download it in some folder and select it. Then you click open, and so now you can see what's in the shapefile. Here we have all the countries in the world. What I'm doing now is I want to filter on France because I don't need all the other countries for this map. So I just click, here's the function query. Now you have this query builder. And in this, you can just define a filter. So in this case, I use the ISO code of France. This column holds it, and I just say where the ISO code equals FRA, which is the code for France, then I will just show these columns. I can press test to see if it's working, and it shows me there's just one row returned, so it's probably France. I click OK, and then I have the map of France. Here's some kind of colonies. No, it's not a colony, but yeah, I still find it weird that this kind of France is still in South America. But okay, this is part of France, but we do only. I will zoom into just the metropolitan France. So this is what. It is an issue if you create maps and you sometimes you want to create a map of France and you have the entire world. Or some small islands within Netherlands, and so you might notice that France looks a bit like squeezed, which is because of the map projection that is used. So there's a way to change the map projection in QGIS, and it's fairly hidden down here in this icon. So I can just click it, and I activate on the fly CRS transformation. CRS is for Coordinate Reference System, which basically is just a map projection. So I press yes, and here you can see like how many map projections there are. It's a huge list, and to find the one that is appropriate for France, I just type France, and you see some I just pick any of them. The difference are really small, but it's just one that makes France look as the France population expects. So now I have this one. You can change the styling of the map. I would just look up if I'm following my own tutorial. So we created the map base layer. So here's the part where I filter it. I pull it down. I zoom to France. I change the map projection. You see, it's all here. So now, what we want to do is we want to change the default styling because I don't like this brown, and I want to use the color for the data that I will show on the map. So I just right-click on the layer, and there's properties, and the layer properties is where you can kind of change everything. So I'll make it a little bigger. So the first open tab is style, and here you can change the color. So I don't want to use any fill, I just want the outline of France. So I deactivate the fill, and I will use a red. I just use this red for the line style, and I make the line a little bigger, so the border width, I just use 1. Okay, so now it looks like this. So now we need to load the data set. So I will show you the data set first. Maybe I just open it in. Here's the data set. The link is in the Google Doc. I just open it in Excel to show you what the data contains. So in the data set we have 1 row per city. So each of the rows is 1 city. We have a column for the countries. So the Tour de France is not only in France, but also there's sometimes in neighboring countries. We have 1 column for the longitude and the latitude, which are the geographical coordinates. So the map, so we know where to place the map. And there's, and I think the other thing that's, so this is not interesting. So I can just. Yeah, we don't need this. So, and the other, this is what I scraped from a website that contains like statistics of all past Tour de France, and it shows you the number count is just how often the Tour de France has passed this city. So how often this has been part of a Tour de France. So I can maybe sort to show you that. So Paris is like every time 100 because that's where the tour ends all the time, and so you see this data, and this is what we want to show on the map. So back to QGIS. Here's where you need a plugin. I have in the tutorial in the first step there's I described how to install it. It's really easy. So once you have this plugin, you have a new function that is add delimited text layer. And it's really, I don't understand why they make anything sound as complicated as possible, but this is how you load a CSV file. So you click this and you just browse for your file, and my file is Tour de France CSV. And yeah. Fortunately, QGIS is clever enough to read the CSV, so it automatically detects that this is separated with a comma and not with a tab or semicolon. So this is already there, and it also detects the X and Y positions. So it knows that long is probably the longitude and lat is probably the latitude. So we just need to click OK. It's everything fine. And now it asks me for the map projection of the coordinates. So every time you have geo-coordinates, you need to know in which coordinate system is it. So the one that is used all the time, so you probably don't need to care about anything else, is the WGS 48. 84. So and so this is just the if you've seen this, where the coordinates range from the longitude range from -180 to +180, and so this is what you use all the time. It should be the default. Yeah, and I click OK, and now I have the cities on the map. So I have lots of tiny dots for each city. You can press this button. Okay, sorry that I should really. I have images of the buttons in the document, so maybe you look it up there. You press this. This is a magnifying glass, and so you can zoom to to the entire data set. With this, you can zoom to just the layer. So this is what I wanted. Yeah. So now we obviously want to visualize how often they are, because the location alone is not that interesting. So I open the properties again for this layer, and so what I do now is I tell the software to use the field count as a radius. So this is the first step. So I click on advanced size scale field, and I click count. So this is like, I do nothing else, and then I press OK, and I get this. So they are really big, but it works somehow. So I go to properties again, and I make the size a little smaller, maybe 0.5 or something. So now I have this map. Yeah, and those of you who have been in the workshop yesterday, they should now know that this is a false representation of the data, because I used the actual numbers as a radius. So what we need to do is we need to take a square root of it. So I'm just going to show you. Probably the most easiest thing to do is just do it in Excel, because you probably have already learned how to do it. So like you do a formula and just write square root, select the number you want to take the square root, and there it is. And you can copy this formula to the entire database, and yeah, and you can say like count square root. So we could have done this before, but you can do this in QGIS too. It's a bit more complicated. You need to make this layer editable. So, and I would just it basically creates a copy, and I say okay, Tour de France to just the same. So now I have a second layer. I can hide this one. And in this layer, I can go to open the attribute table, which is showing me like a table of a spreadsheet of the content of the layer. This is the same as we have seen in the Excel spreadsheet. So what I'm doing now is I click this little blue pen icon, which makes this which turns on the editing mode. So now I can create a new column, and I use a formula just as I did in Excel. So I give it a new field name, which I say count square root. I need to say that I want decimal numbers, because if I take the square root, there's not whole numbers anymore. And you can either do it by hand, clicking here, and there's just the first formula. I just double click, so it inserts the expression here, but you can also write it. Now you need the name of the field. So here's a list of all the fields that are in the dataset. If you haven't remembered them, sometimes you have long names. So I just click on count, and then I close this bracket. So. And yeah, it gives me a preview, so there's a 1, so I know it's probably working. If you mistype anything, then you get this error message, expression invalid, but it's a simple expression. I just press OK, and now I have the same thing as an Excel. But you can do it anyway, but you have to do it. Then I click on the editing mode again, so I think he asked me to change, so I just save. And now I have this new column, count square root. And I will use that to scale. So I go into the layer properties again, press advanced, and I select this new column as the size field. So maybe 2 is now working, because we now have smaller numbers. And yes, and this is now a new map. So I can change the styling as I've done with a base layer. Just click on change, and I don't I can use the blue one, maybe this one. Can change the fill color as well. Maybe make the fill a bit. So this is kind of up to your choice. I make the circles a little transparent, so I can see like what's behind bigger ones, maybe like 40% or something, and then I have this map. And this is basically what I wanted to create. Now you can export this map using you could just print it, but you can to do so you need to tell him how you want this to be printed. So you create a new print composer. Sorry for the wording; it's really complicated, but yeah, you have the step-by-step tutorial. Here you have this blank sheet of paper. And now you can insert any kind of stuff. But what we want to do is we just want to add a map. So I now draw a rectangle where I want this map, and there it is. Yeah, I can move the map a bit around, but I will leave it like this. You can, I think I can get rid of the frame. So now I have just a blank page. And here you have the option to export as PDF or as image or as SVG, and if you go for PDF, you can just France tour, and then you have France tour PDF, and so you can open this in like Illustrator. You can send it to the graphics folks, and they can make up something with a map. You can customize the styling, but it's really easy just to get this done, and so you could print this in your newspaper. Create infographics with it, whatever.
Is it possible to add
So first question was, is it possible to make it interactive? And this is not a feature of QGIS. You can create interactive maps with this with the dataset. I can show you actually in the last tool that I'm showing that has the same kind of feature, and you can create interactive maps. In this case, it's just a print. For print, yeah, you can of course you can create labels. I think that was your question. So it's probably interesting to see the names of the cities. So what I did is in the layer menu you have an option labeling, and you click it, and then you just say label this layer. So I activate the checkbox and I say what column should I use, and I want to use the column name, and I just stick with the defaults, and now I have lots of labels. But you probably want to do this in Illustrator, so you can, like, usually you use your hand, you label by hand to make it more it looks better when you're QGIS will just label every city, but usually you label just the 10 most interesting or important. So there are maybe some stories to tell about this. In this case, you could, for instance, pick one in Germany and say, like, where this year the tour started in Germany, and or something like this. Or you could, you should of course highlight Paris, because it's kind of where the tour ends every year. Yeah, but I suggest to label like by hand. It's just to create this map.
Gregor, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So you obviously know what you're doing quite well. How long do you think it would take somebody for the first time doing this? How much of an investment do you think they would need to be prepared to put in time-wise to use this tool?
So to reproduce this example, I think you should be able to go through it like in an hour or something, because I have written all the kind of things to consider. But in general, you need you need to be some kind of patient with the tool, because sometimes it doesn't work as you expect, and then you read up, and I often do Google searches when something don't work, and then I get an answer, and like it's the same with every piece of software, and it's really hard to develop good software. So I don't blame them. But yeah, you need maybe a few weeks to really figure out. I think the best thing is just to proceed like on task by task, and so I probably only covered 10% of this tool now, and there's lots of features. It's really, you can do probably everything you can do with commercial geosystems, so it's probably too much features for what you need, but you can, if you make notes and just follow the steps, then you can get something out of it. Yep.
Thank you. Can you get different sizes for the towns' names based on the recurrency?
On the labels?
For instance, Paris.
Yeah.
Comes every year.
I can try. This is when I go to label, and then I think here's the field for field. I think I've seen this. You can do this. Data defined, yeah, and I can use here again size, and I can use our count square root, and so this is too small. But yeah, you can do this. Yeah, this is an idea too. Yeah, that's too small.
Basically, yes.
Basically, yes.
Somehow. In there, but it's just very small. Are there any other questions? We've probably got a couple of minutes before we need to definitely move on to the next tool, but we can also finish this earlier, and I know people will probably want to ask one-on-one questions at the end, so there we go.
Yeah, but there's a problem with it. I know the problem. This labeling tries to avoid to put labels over on top, and there's no priority in it, but yeah. Yeah, it is possible. You can do lots of stuff with it. Yeah, so I think I should proceed to the last tool, which is Tableau. Unfortunately, there's no Mac version of Tableau. So if you have a Mac, some have asked me how to install it. I have a Mac too, so I can tell you how I did this. There's a software called VirtualBox, and it allows you to have like operating systems inside of your operating system. So I need this for testing like graphics in different browsers and different systems. So I have just a virtual Windows running, so you can do it like this, or you can try. So I will now switch to Windows. The idea of this why I picked Tableau is that I find that data visualization is not only important to publish data, but also to actually analyze the data set, because you have some kind of limitation of what you can do by just looking at the numbers. Of course, you can sort them, and you can get the top and the lowest one, but there's some kind of connection that you're only able to see when you visualize it. So I try to do it. I usually use other tools which involve more coding, but Tableau is a tool that needs no coding, and they have a version that's free, Tableau Public, and I will show you how to get something done with it. So this is a new. I hope is this working? Yeah. So this is Tableau. I just open. No. So I just open it from. So this is how Tableau looks when you open it. So the same. You see, it's the same every time you open the data. You have plenty of options that are only available if you buy the full version, but unfortunately, loading a text file or an Excel file is possible. So in this case, I would just load a CSV file. I think I have it on the desktop. Yeah. What the data set I have here is maybe I can open it in Excel. I have a data set from Eurostat as well. We're switching back to unemployment and the Euro crisis again. So the data set contains data on a regional level, so it's not per country, but per NUTS region. It's kind of a regional subdivision defined by the Eurostat. So you have like finer data for per country. For instance, here is Austrian, and I have 9 rows for Austria. And so these are the different regions, and so I have for each region I have one column that contains the secondary the level of the amount of people that have finished secondary education, and I have the numbers for youth unemployment. Here are some missing values, and I have the same data set divided by gender. So these are the unemployed between 15 and 24 that are the females and the males. So this is a multi-dimensional data set. So it has just not just one number, but many numbers per row. So it takes different tools to see the connections between like the education and the unemployment. So this is what I will show you here. So I just open the CSV file, and it detects anything. I just need to press OK, fortunately. So and then I'm inside Tableau. So by default I see nothing, but I have nothing in here. But I have Tableau tries to detect what's a dimension and what's a measure in my data set. So dimension is like the country name, the city name, and stuff like this, and so the measures is the actual numbers. In this case, it managed to do it quite well. So the way you work in Tableau is you drag and drop these measures and dimensions to anything in the interface, and you can get something out of it. So in this case, I want to I drag the secondary education ratio to the kind of the X column, and I drag the youth unemployment to the other column. So I now have a scatter plot with just one value, which is because Tableau thinks that this is, it somehow decides to compute the sum of all the values. So the way to fix this is you click on this green arrow and you make it a dimension, because now it is. I figured out now it is a dimension of the scatter plot. So it changed the way. So I switch both. Then I have a regular scatter plot. So now I see like every region that's in the data set, and I can see how where it is located based on the education level and on the unemployment rate. So I see there's a fair amount of distribution, and that's always great to have like huge ranges. And to see more of it, I can now I can drag the country column, which contains these 2 letter codes, here's the field labeled color, and it will then color the dots by country. I can do it the same for shape, so then it will choose different symbols for every country. I can at any point click on any of these, so I can actually see something. And this is something you cannot do in Excel if you do a chart. So it's more work to see the data. So this is, for instance, BG. This is Bulgaria, and you see there's a secondary education ratio of 81% and a youth employment of 43%. So this is a kind of outlier. The general trend is that the lower the education, the higher is the youth unemployment. But there's an outlier, so this might be interesting to look at what this region is. Here we don't see the name of the region in the tooltip, but I can change this. I have a column with the name of the region. I can just drag it into the detail field. And now when I click it, I see the name of the region. Unfortunately, I'm not able to read it, but yeah, for journalists, this would be doable. I don't know. Yeah, down here we can also use the country as label, so we see some more of it. So here we have Turkey, and we have Germany and Czech Republic over here. It's interesting. So I can now start just exploring the data by using the legend. Here, the second legend is not necessary because it's the same value. I can just hide it. So I have just the legend of all the countries, and I can click through them and see where they are located. So here's Austria, Belgium, starts to spread. So there's Bulgaria, Switzerland. So you can look through any of these, whatever interests you. You can also use the filter. There's a function in an analysis, and there's a quick filter, and I can activate a quick filter on country, and this allows you to like deselect everything and just look at one country. For instance, this is Germany, and now the axis updated to just show me Germany. And yeah, maybe it's interesting that there's some kind of divide. So unlike maybe I don't know, in France, it looks like more like this. So it might be interesting to look at what region these are. So this is the state where I live, in Eastern Germany, and probably here we have the Western Germany. So there's some kind of distribution in the data. You can look at Bulgaria, and then you see a huge gap between, like, here are 5 regions that are they are high on unemployment and they are fairly low on education. So, but in one region we have actually a secondary education level of 90% and youth unemployment of 30%, which is a fairly big outlier. So it might be interesting to look at this. So this is the general idea. When you visualize a data set, to analyze it, you just you get to know your data set and you get questions out of it. So it's not to get answers, but to get questions. So and I can proceed with more stuff. Maybe I remove this size. Just to show you what you can do. You can pick other representation. In this case, I take a circle, and you can do the same. You can drop any field into it to change the size of the circles. And Tableau does automatically computes the square root, so this is a better tool. You can change the transparency. It's like the same. And you can really start to play around. In this case, this is not so meaningful because we already have the secondary education in one of the axes. So I will remove this one. But what we can do now, we can also create several sheets, just like in Excel. I can give this sheet a name if I've discovered something interesting. I give it some name. So education versus unemployment. So, and I can create a new sheet and do the same. And I can analyze different patterns in the data. What I do now, I compare the male and the female unemployment, youth unemployment. So it is the same process. I need to do this dimension thing again. Now I see how it divides. So this is a correlation, and it's spreading a bit in the higher range. I can do the same. I drag the country to the color to the shape to see where they are. So of course we have the same countries at the higher range, like probably Spain. This is Spain over here, and you can see maybe there's something interesting. What you can do all kinds of analysis. So this is this is getting a bit more, but you can show trend lines. So in this case, I have one trend line per country, which is obviously too much. I can deactivate this. So this is just the general trend. How do the unemployment of males and females to correlate? And now I can see which are more on what side of the trend. So in Spain, for instance, the unemployment of males is higher than of the females. There might be a reason for it. And in Poland, if I just select Poland, you see the trend is in the other direction, so there might be something about this. We could just look at how these countries spread on the scale. So it's really to look at it. I think one interesting thing was Turkey. I would just activate the quick filter again. Quick filter on country, and I hide everything but Turkey. And you can see that there's a huge difference, like 10% difference in unemployment. So who's more? So the male are more unemployed. But we need to have to look up what kind of definition is used. So there are different definitions for unemployment. Some include different levels. So if one is educated, maybe is counted as unemployed, and one sometimes not. So, but there's other details. Yes, you can also do calculations inside of Tableau. So, for instance, what might be interesting is to compute the ratio of male unemployment and female unemployment, and so you can just right-click and create a calculated field, and then you have this formula editor, and I just take the unemployment rate of females and I divide it. So I use this division sign and divide it by the male unemployment. So now if both are the same, I get 1, and if they're above 1, there are more females unemployed and more women unemployed, and if it's below 1, then more male unemployed. So I now have a new field here. I should have given it a name. So I say a gender balance, and I can use this field as the original data set, as the original data fields. I can, for instance, use this to color the dots now. So this is what is called a diverging measure. So I have kind of center, which is 1 in this case, and I have 2 opposites. Then so I need a different color scale. I can change the colors easily, edit colors, and I just select one of many color scales. In this case, I go for red-green or maybe orange-blue. But it's a good idea to have white in the middle, so we see. So we are, in this case, we are just focusing on the extremes. I click on Advanced and define the center as exactly 1. So, and then I press Apply, and now I have I can see the gender balance. So again, a value above 1 means that there are more females unemployed. So maybe the unemployment of women is higher. So yeah, one could say that the employment of male is higher. So it's okay to go for this blue, but I don't want to get into gender trouble. So yeah, and again we can I just add we can look at individual countries, and maybe there's something interesting. Yeah. So here we can see that there's some. So the idea is that now I can see 3 different measures in the data set at the same time. So the more dimensions you add to a visualization, the harder it gets to actually read it. So at this point we have 3 dimensions. So it needs some training to actually read it. So again, we have the youth unemployment and we have the education, and but then we can see whether or not there's any correlation between the gender balance and any of these measures. Yeah, but it's just to. It does not seem, in this case, it doesn't seem that there's a clear that this depends on the other one. So we have extreme differences in gender unemployment in either side on the chart. So maybe there's no blue one down here, but we have blue ones here. So it's again, it's just to verify some assumptions one have, so you can just check if anything you might think is true is really true, or you can just browse through it to. Sometimes we have a data set where you know it would be nice to have something, but you don't have an actual idea what might be in there. So sometimes there's, I don't know, a new statistic release or something. And yeah, you can use data. So I would recommend to use data visualization also to improve your analysis in the data set. So I think we can go to questions now. I think there's some, or if there's anything you're interested in, I can show. I don't know. I have this. I can also show you how to create this interactive map with Tableau. If that's interesting, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions on what Gregor has shown so far that they would like answering? Or who would like to see how to make an interactive map? Put your hand up if you would. Yes? Okay, it looks like
okay.
Looks like
and
interactive map, Gregor.
It's really, and then I will come to like I can answer questions on like, or what are the benefits and limitations of the tools. So
yeah,
okay,
that would be great.
So I create a new I think it's called book in Tableau. I just create a new one. I load the same data set. I load it into the QGIS tool, so the Tour de France spreadsheet you already remember. You still remember, hopefully. So now I have columns, name, and latitude, longitude. What I need, I think I need to move them to the dimensions, because latitude and longitudes are no real measures of our data set, but there's a but Tableau thinks it's measure because it's numbers. So I just move them to the dimensions field, or you can click and say change type or change role. I don't know. But then what you need to do to create this map is really simple. You just select latitude, longitude, and in this case count. So this is all we want to show in the map. Here's a menu that makes it sometimes easier to get started with something. So if you select any measures in your data set, it will already try to figure out what kind of visualizations would be possible with that. And here we have a map. And I just click a map, and that's it. And now I can again start to customize it. I can increase the size. And Tableau is clever, as it already does the square roots thing. I can make it more transparent. And so this is now interactive. So what I can do, I can customize the tooltip. I think I can drop some information like count and into it. So now I have this in the tooltip. To publish this, I think you need to. There's a feature of save to web, but I think you need to have an account or something. But I think it's free, and then you can embed it the graphic. For instance, the Guardian data blog has worked with Tableau Public, and you see some examples. And yeah, there are benefits and limitations to all of these tools, and it's depends a lot on your preferences, on maybe how open you want the tool. Some considerations is you might not want to be locked inside of a tool, so it's that there's a company who provides a tool can like make it expensive, while there's another tool that's free. I think the free version has lots of features, but the size of the data is limited to 100,000 columns or something, and you cannot connect to a lot of data sets. And obviously, Tableau does not run on Mac or Linux, so That's one thing. What I like about Tableau is that it's really easy. Once you like spend like a day or something with it, it's getting really easy to produce like a map with it. For instance, I can drag just this drag and drop thing. I drag the name field into the label, and then I have labels and them. And I think if you publish it, it looks just like this. I think there's even there's a way to create dashboards. So I just drag the map into this, and so you can create different visualizations. For instance, I create a new sheet, just I don't know, visualizing the count. I don't know what's coming out here.
Is this what you see on analyze the data?
No, in this case, you can use Tableau also to publish, but I have not focused on this one, but because I have never published anything with Tableau. But this was just to show you that you can. Where is it? My dashboard. You can drag and drop charts into the dashboard, and you can create like cool stuff. There's plenty of stuff to discover with Tableau. I only scratched the surface, obviously, of all the tools. So the idea was to show you once you have like experimented with it or learned it a little bit, that you can actually produce something very easily. For QGIS, the mapping tool I showed, the most obvious limitation is that you cannot produce like interactive charts, interactive maps. So it's only for print maps, but it's free, so it's open source, and it ever will be stay in open source. And yeah, for data wrapper, the limitation I think it's very limited in terms of the types of charts you can produce. In Tableau, you have lots of other stuff, like you see here, packed bubbles, and I don't know, maybe it's too much, but yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. If you have any other questions, just ask them. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any final questions? I have one question down here.
In Italian.
Let's see if this works.
È possibile utilizzare QGIS o Tableau e poi creare dei file importabili su Google Maps, come ad esempio KML?
So the question was whether or not one can export maps from QGIS and import them in Google Maps, and this is possible. You can. This is really one of the best things about QGIS, that is it can read every data format that's connected to geographic data, and it can export to any data set. So if you have, I'm not sure about the bubbles, but if you have any shapefile, you can load it in QGIS, and you can export it to KML, for instance, and so. I use it a lot to convert various data formats into something I need to in another tool. So yeah, that's and the way it works, you just click on a layer and say save as, and then you have this menu, and you have lots of data formats, and here's KML in it, and so you just click OK, and then it's there. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. If there are no more questions, what I would suggest is that Gregor's got a couple more minutes. Maybe if people want to come up to you on an individual basis, that may be easier for people to ask questions. But could you just join me very quickly in thanking Gregor very much for giving his time and flying out here to teach you how to do some of these basic things. Thank you, Gregor. Just before we get the normal flow of people wanting certificates, I'd just like to hand over to Wilfried Rudden from the European Journalism Centre to make a quick announcement.
Yeah, hello. I have first thing I would like to thank Lucy and Liliana here for doing a great job. I think they deserve a special hand here. This is appreciated, thank you. And I have good news. I was just talking to the organization committee here and Chris for planning for next year. And yes, we can again come next year and we do the same thing in a pretty much similar setup, hopefully. So see you all next year. Very good, thank you.
Second edition at the International Journalism Festival in Perugia. Just out of interest, can you put your hand up if you've been to every single workshop? We've had four. Wow. We should give you a special certificate for that one. Thank you very much for joining us. I realize lots of people are already heading home by this point, but you are true troopers. This is probably one of the most exciting ones, one of the things that journalists get most excited about, how to actually get hands-on and visualize your data. Gregor's been developing some excellent tools for doing this, and he's going to walk you through exactly how they work. So we're really excited about this. A couple of logistical things before we start, as always. I'm already getting mocked for having done the same introduction 8 times. Gregor, could we have the slide, possibly?
Yes.
The School of Data Journalism is organized by 2 organizations, the Open Knowledge Foundation, which is where I work, and the European Journalism Centre, which is where Liliana works. And together we basically collaborate on bringing data skills to audience such as journalists. There we go. We've got it. Audience such as journalists. My project, which is the School of Data, which you see up on the screen, also works closely with NGOs. A year ago, the Open Knowledge Foundation and the European Journalism Centre at this very event launched the Data Journalism Handbook. So it's its anniversary this year. It's available for free online if you desire it at ddjbook.org or datajournalismhandbook.org. You can find it at both. If anybody does desire a print copy of it, Liliana and I have some discount codes, so come and see us afterwards. I'm going to hand over to Liliana to do an introduction about the European Journalism Centre very quickly and a couple of the logistical announcements. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy this final session. I know I will.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who've been to the other sessions, you've heard this introduction so many times. I'm sorry about that. I am Liliana Negru. I lead data journalism activities at the European Journalism Centre. We run a website on this topic that maps developments in the field called datadrivenjournalism.net. Last year, we published a manual, which Lucy already mentioned, together with the Open Knowledge Foundation. And we run a mailing list where people who attend events like this one stay in touch when we don't organize events. And you can find, this mailing list has around 1,000 members, and anyone is free to join. And you can find the URL for the mailing list on datadrivenjournalism.net. A few more logistical details before we start. This session will be recorded, and the video recording will be available on the Journalism Festival's YouTube channel. We also have an overview of all the slides, tutorials, recordings, and links to projects that have been shared throughout all 8 sessions of the School of Data Journalism. We posted this on schoolofdata.org and datadrivenjournalism.net, so you can also check that. 2 last things. Our Twitter hashtag is DDJSchool, where we're also posting tips and links. And for those of you who want certificates of attendance, come to Lucy or me at the end of this session, and we'll write down your name and email address and send you a certificate at the end of the event. I'll now hand over to Gregor, who is doing the second workshop in Perugia. Thank you, Gregor.
Okay. Hi. Yes, I just put this. So today I want to show you 3 tools. Just usually this must be something like a 2-day workshop, so it's really compressed. I will try to, so I'm showing you 3 tools. One is Data Wrapper, a tool that I was part of the team who built this, and but in Firefox and Chrome, the tool, it is a tool to create charts, like line charts, bar charts, stuff I showed yesterday. Very basic stuff, so no fancy network diagrams or anything, but it's just for the day-to-day work. The charts work in any browser, but just the tool is optimized for or not optimized for IE. So, yeah, you can just open the website Data Wrapper, and you don't need to create an account to use it. You can you can try it without creating an account, but you cannot publish it at the end. But it's free to create an account. You just need an email address, and so there's no costs at any point. Yeah, the tool is open source, so yeah, if you like it, you can use it for your own in your own newsroom, and yeah, and we also are now starting to provide, because we get many requests from newsrooms who want to use this tool. So yeah, you can contact me if you like it and want to use it. So the way Data Wrapper works is we have a 4-step process. So you click on Create Chart. Let's see. There's one thing. If something is not working, then like this. There's one bug we experience as QGIS, which is a tool for creating maps, one of many tools. And the last thing is Tableau. So I will try to be kind of slow with the first tool, but maybe if you lose track, just there's the tutorials with the step-by-step introduction that I'm going through here. This is on, we published it, and yeah, you find the links there. And yeah, you can, I would suggest if you lose track, just to look and follow and not try to, yeah. Because I've done this with journalists, and it usually takes like 8 hours to get them through some of these. Like, everyone has his own computer, and there's some kind of old version of Excel running, and then something happens and it don't work. So if you get frustrated, just keep calm and listen. And yeah, you can watch the video, and there's the yeah, I spent some time on the tutorials, and there's lots of screenshots in it, so I hope this will be easy to follow. Yes. So the first, I'm not sure if you all found this, opened this link. Who wants to follow up? I just need to check on dataset. So what we're going to do? Let me show you Data Wrapper. Data Wrapper is a yeah. I was asked how to install it. You don't need to install it, because it's a web-based tool, so it works in not in any browser.